Call this October 15, 2013 Airport Authority meeting to order. And let's stand and ask Greg to us to lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I'll have to do this to approve. We need to approve the agenda, and we need to remove item 6B, fuel policy. Need a motion on that.
Motion to amend the agenda.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. That's unanimous.
Sure, you want to take action on the one request for excuse?
Yes. All right, we need a motion to excuse Judas Owens. He's on the road traveling. He was in Raleigh, or is it going to Raleigh, whatever, but he's on the road. He needs to have an excused absence. They requested that, so I need a motion for that.
Motion. Second.
Okay, the motion is second to excuse Judas Owens. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. That's unanimous, thank you very much. Go to public comments. We're gonna have any public comments? Anybody here in the public? Got one public.
There's no cookies left?
No cookies. Okay. Having no public, I guess there'll be no comments. Okay. All right, we have the minutes for September 17 to be approved, and a special meeting on October 7th. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the minutes for September 17 and October 7th. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous, thank you. Financial report, Mr. Classic.
Yes, sir, thank you. There's a preliminary financial report for through August 31. We've also handed out, but one of the work is the one we handed out this evening is through September 30. And what it shows, Commissioner Lovelace had asked some questions about the P&L statement. We don't normally do a P&L statement because of the way our accounting structure, one, we're a government, and two, the way our accounting structure, our system is set up, we record revenues and expenditures, and the normal things that becomes your profit and loss, and we don't take into account all those other things that usually go into a P&L statement, from depreciation to taxes and things like that. But you can kind of take a look at, if you look at the third column, says fiscal year to date, you can see our airport fuel sales are $111,000. Miscellaneous revenues of $37.50. We've received rent so far of $6,381 for a total revenue of $117,894. Going down through, if you look down through that same column, you'll see that we have $138,460 in expenditures to date. If you look back to the first column, that's the budget, that's $481,482 is the total amount budgeted for the airport. And you can see where we are on that. We're running at about the 25% level, so we're running in accordance with our budget. We also, the closest thing we can do to kind of a standard P&L, if you flip it over, you'll see the total expenditures of $138,460, and we have a general fund contribution that a budget of $113,082, and to date we've utilized $20,565. So just to give you a sense, I'm not sure we can really equate it to the traditional P&L statement, but that gives you a sense of where we are with the budget so far.
So basically what you're saying is we've operated the airport this fiscal year at approximately 20,000 less than we brought in. Or more than we brought in.
Yeah.
We had to supplement 20,000.
We used 20,565 of the 113 general fund, yes,
Okay.
sir. So. And I'll note that the airport, to my knowledge, has never operated, where it's actually made money off the fuel sales and things like that. The way we focus, the way we've been talking is how do we get more planes, more hangars, or a higher value of plane here to increase the level of property taxes. Now, those property taxes don't come to the airport, they come to the county general fund, but that's kind of the what we look at, as,
Right.
because if we didn't have the airport, we wouldn't have the planes and the hangars.
And there's some overall economic impact not measured.
That's correct, all of the, there are other
Yeah.
subsidiary businesses that we have here at the airport and those that service the airport, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. We need an airport operations support. Chris, is that gonna be your level?
I can, yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Actually, this past month we've been quite busy. We had the South Pappy repaired.
Mr. Chairman, Chris, will you please stand so that you...
Oh, sure. This week, or excuse me, this past couple of weeks, we've had the South Pappy repaired. One of our precision lights that come in from the south. That was repaired just a few days ago. I've had reliable fire and safety out here a couple of weeks ago, replacing a few extinguishers that have gone bad. Mr. Jeff Hill and Judy Tony dropped by a couple of weeks ago also to give the airport a safety review. Pretty much other than a couple of nitpick things, we made some MSDS sheets for chemicals around and safety shoes. Other than that, they really did fine-tune everything that's wrong. I have spoken with Roger Hallfield and Clint Hauser about the fire truck. That's just a couple of doors down from us right now. And he advised us it's been so long since we've had training on here at the airport that our job was more or less to be to get it ready for the proper fire people when they arrive. We did have a small jet pump issue that was quickly resolved in a couple of days. Let's see.
Is that on jet fuel you're talking about?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Our jet pump. Our fiber wireless is up and running. That's been up and running for almost a week now. We also received new computers for the terminal building, front desk, and my office as well. And let's see, this month's September of 2013, we did a total of 10,834 gallons.
Any questions for Chris on?
The fiber wireless
Yes, sir.
encompasses how much of the facility?
Pretty much this building and out the parking lot. Can barely make it out to Ron's, sitting out the cafe. So I'd say about 1,000 square feet.
All right. Okay, we need to move on to all business with the NCDOT Strategic Mobility Program, airport improvements. Mr. Rutherford?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm assuming Carl passed along stuff I provided to him, which was basically your TIP program that you typically look at and act on every year around this time of year. It's typically for 5 years with the new strategic transportation investment, as they're calling it, STI. It's for 7 years at this time, but the first 2 years of the program will not change as far as how it's rated in the Division of Aviation and DOT's matrix, if you will. Starting 2015, that new state program that we had the presentation on from DOA here the other week will kick in, if you will, and you'll start being in more competition, if you will, with statewide all modes of transportation versus simply just the airports. So on your TIP package, the projects relatively are the same projects that have been on your airport layout, our TIP package for probably the past 4 to 5 years. Typically, if they don't get funded, they can stay on. We have looked at being a little more aggressive, if you will, as far as putting something together, because as you heard, you pretty much need to put out there what you expect so you can compete in the division side. Paving projects, things of that nature are going to be probably ranking higher than a building like a hangar building or something of that magnitude. So the only changes I think that we've added anything on here, the fuel farm came off a couple of years ago. I know there was some discussion here recently on upgrades and so forth and maintenance items. We put that back on. It's shown in 2015. Again, there's no particular ranking. DOT ranks these items. Once they get uploaded into their system, they actually do the ranking. We've shown a ranking column here as Carl's request, just simply to give you some idea where we felt like priorities may need to be focused on, which projects might float to the top for you sooner than later. But DOA will actually do the ranking once it's upgraded and uploaded into their system. But you're not obligating any monies or anything to any of these projects. It's basically your wish list. Once a project gets funded, then it comes back to the county once again for you to either accept or deny that project. And if you do accept it at that time, your 10% local match is what's typically required.
Sure. One of the issues they've asked for is the prioritization for the local level. Yeah, they'll rank them for funding, but they are gonna want your prioritization. And you also have with you, actually, the first, the email, the cover page, and then the suggestions that we received from public input. And I think you're one of the few airports that's actually done the public input. So you have that available to you. Not sure if that, really, how much you want to take those up. Many of these items were not necessarily capital improvement projects, which is what the TIP's all about, but it was a good discussion last night among the stakeholders at the airport. And all the comments we received in writing are shown on those airport suggestions. And then, of course, you have what Jimmy provided to you. The only question, if I may, Mr. Chairman, yes, Jimmy, you put the runway pavement is reaching, this is under Division of Aviation recommended runway overlay. Your ranking for that was 5, depending on where it was. Can you give I'm just curious, we didn't have a chance to talk all that, I know, but I was curious why that was ranked there. I understand that even though the request for the fuel farm is much higher, we also know that's probably one of the lower priorities of the state. I'm just curious why you put that where you did.
The state comes out biannually and does a pavement index to classify what your pavements on your airfield either rank blue as excellent, green good, yellow fair, red poor, and black is failing. Obviously, pretty much all of your pavements are in the fair or the good and excellent. As you can see, this was done in 2008. I don't have the 2010 or 12 that would have been done, but there's not going to be a whole lot of difference. What we look at on the pavements, you typically expect or design a pavement to get 15 to 20 year life cycle, and your pavements are nearing, by this date that's in here, that 15 to 20 year life cycle, and that's why they're showing it.
So in 2017 they'll be there, but not in 2013.
If the state has other data or supports other data as far as funding those projects, just because it's in that year doesn't necessarily mean that's the year we get funded or ranked to be funded. If they go through and have more up-to-date information on the pavement index than I do currently, then they would ratchet that up to be ranking it sooner for maintenance. And you are on schedule, is my understanding from Phil Lanier, to be crack sealing on the pavements and marking, and that'll probably be spring because the weather's not going to permit that now this time of year. But those again are preventative measures that prolong the life of your pavement until you do get an overlay or something done to it.
Now, when that's done, what about the weeds that are in the cracks? Will that be something we have to take out? Or is that'll all be done when they do that?
That process is basically to herbicide it, and then they'll come in with a router, clean out that joint, blow it out, dry it out, and then they'll put the sealing in. And that's part of the process.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I talked to Chris Roach, and what we're talking about doing is making sure we knock out those weeds, the bare minimum now that we're into we're getting towards the end of the growth cycle of the year. And we talked about even spraying them now, but the contractor, I think, very wisely recommended that we not spray them now, simply because they're not going to be growing, won't really kill them, what's wrong in there. Just wait until the spring when it comes back, and either, if the state isn't coming along, then we herbicide them, and then, hopefully they'll be here in the spring to do the rest of the work.
And the state has a state maintenance contract that they let out to do painting and crack sealing on the airport, so this will be part of their state maintenance contract.
Okay, but this doesn't have to be part of this tip thing, this is all separate from,
That's correct, that's totally state money, state funded, no monies out of local, matches or anything of that nature. Now, when a runway or taxiway or apron overlay occur, that's typically part of that process as well. You gotta do the prep work before you do the overlay. So if, for instance, that runway overlay happened to be funded before the state maintenance crews came out and did what they planned to do on sealing it, then that would be part of that contract. That prep work would be done, so that the grass and stuff that's removed prior to the overlay be
okay.
accomplished.
Okay, I have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
And if they're ignorant questions, forgive me. When they come in the spring to do that, is there any local obligation on funding?
No, that's strictly a state maintenance, in-house funded project.
Okay, and I tried to absorb in the presentation last month as much information as I could, but it seemed like it probably was a complicated thing, a lot of us have questions about.
It's new to everyone.
Right. We have two projects, 14, 2 and 15, 116, 217, 118, 119, 120. With the new process, are you better off